Hey everyone, is Google Stadia worth it in 2020? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, JY here. Just a quick intro about myself. I like to do Google products and technology product reviews and unboxings. So, as you said before, we're going to be talking about Google Stadia. So what is Google Stadia? Google Stadia is their cloud-based gaming service. It's free to join, and when you sign up, you get a free 1 month or 3 month membership to the Pro subscription. After which you can cancel and play Stadia, the Stadia service for free. Unfortunately, for the most part, you do need to purchase the game still through the Google Stadia servers. So it's not completely free. You still have to buy games just like you would for console gaming or PC gaming. We're going to be talking about Stadia Pro in a little bit, but it is a monthly subscription that does offer additional perks if you do subscribe. So before we get started with the actual footage of actual gameplay, I just want to give you an idea of what my Wi-Fi speed is like where I'm testing it. So I did a quick internet test and I'm running about 110 megabytes per second download with about 10 megabytes per second upload, which the upload speed is a little bit low, but because I usually get around 40, but you know, that's what I tested it at, and that's how I played at. So you get to see the quality at that internet speed. Now obviously your internet speed is going to vary with whatever activities going on in your household. So if someone's streaming Netflix, doing a Zoom call, doing whatever else, it's obviously going to affect your internet speed. So that is something to keep in mind. Google does mention that you'll need at least 10 megabits per second to have a stable connection to play, and that's the bare minimum that they recommend to use Stadia. So let's talk about gameplay. So I was pleasantly surprised. It ran very well. Very little lag. When I pressed the button on the controller, it responded right away, and it doesn't really matter what hardware you're using. You can play it on your laptop, a tablet, or your cell phone. It would still work most likely, which is a great thing, because if you're trying to play a game like Cyberpunk, you can also play Stadia through the Stadia controller. You can get this as part of, you can get the controller by itself, or you can get the Google Stadia Premier Edition, which includes a Google Chromecast Ultra. And otherwise, you can also play, if you're playing through your computer, you can also play with a PS4 controller, Xbox controller, or even mouse and keyboard. So if you want to give it a try first and sign up for their free trial, play a free game like Destiny 2, you can try it out and hook up to your PlayStation controller or mouse and keyboard. Now, if you're using a previous console controller, you're going to need to do it wired, so you had to plug it into your computer. This controller here, this is the Google Stadia controller. This is not a Bluetooth controller to play wirelessly. It actually goes on your Wi-Fi. And as you can see on screen, the way it connects is it'll give you a little command, to basically a code where you have to, almost like Mortal Kombat, where you have to press a combination of buttons and it'll connect the controller once you turn it on. Overall, the controller feels nice, very similar to pretty much any other console controller out there. So overall, pleasantly surprised. Gameplay was very fluid, was able to handle some intense game, no problem. My computer wasn't whirring up with the fans and heating up, so that was a pleasant surprise. And you'll also see, I'll also put up some footage of me playing Destiny 2 on my cell phone as well. That's on a Pixel 4a 5G, and it also ran very smoothly. And that was also using the controller. So gaming wise, Google Stadia shows promise. So let's talk about the store. So obviously, to play this, all these games have to be on the cloud, which means you have to purchase these games through Google Stadia's server. The store itself, unfortunately, have a minimal amount of games, and that's going to be a huge deciding factor. If the gaming library isn't what you actually prefer, then Google Stadia may not be worth it. If you go into Google Stadia's website, you can see a list of all the games that they offer at this moment. And the biggest name is obviously Cyberpunk. Browse through, see if that's even worth it. Because if the library is not worth it to you, then the service is probably not going to be worth it to you. With less games means there's less chance for multiplayer. So if you're more of a multiplayer type of person, keep in mind, there are a few games that offer crossplay, but not all. So that's something to keep in mind if that's what you're trying to do. You may not be able to play with your friends through Stadia. So let's talk about Stadia Pro now. Stadia Pro costs $9.99 a month, and with that $9.99, you get access to Pro membership games. What that means is every month Google will offer a couple games that you can claim, and as long as you're a member, you get to play those games for free. Very similar to how PlayStation Plus works. Now, if you ever cancel your subscription, you'll lose access to those games. Also, what it does offer, which is probably the bigger thing, is as long as you're a Pro membership, it'll allow you to stream at 4K quality. If you're only doing it through the free version of Google Stadia, it'll only allow up to 1080p. So if that's something that's worth it to you, keep in mind that not only do you have to buy a game, you have to pay for every month the $9.99 fee to get 4K resolution. Obviously, you can cancel at any time. There's no contract. So overall, the gaming is great, but what are the downsides? So obviously, this is cloud-based gaming, and what that means is you're going to be using data a lot. So if you're using 4K streaming under a Pro membership, Google states that it can use up to 20 gigabytes per hour. If you're using 1080p resolution, it can use up to 12.6 gigabytes an hour, and if you're running at 720p, it might use up 4.5 gigabytes per hour. And if you do the math, that's a lot. There are some services, internet providers, that have a data cap per month. A lot of them are about 1 terabyte per month of data, which is a lot of data. But if you do the math, let's say you're doing 4K streaming at 20 gigabytes per hour, right? Let's say you game 2 hours a day over the course of 30 days in a month. That's 60 hours. 60 hours at 20 gigabytes an hour. That's 1.2 gigabytes of data streamed. And you're going to hit that data limit. At which point your internet service provider will probably charge you more per gigabyte of data used. Another thing is, obviously, since you're using so much data, you need to have a strong Wi-Fi or stable internet connection. Without that, you'll definitely experience lag. Another thing is, if you buy a game, you can't resell it. Just keep in mind, these games are non-transferable. And this last issue may or may not be a thing. It's, we'll see, but it's basically Google itself. So Google owns Stadia, but Google is known to basically cancel some of their services and leave its customers hanging. Case in point, you got the Nest security systems, you got Google Plus, you got Google Play Music, right? So, there are concerns from people out there that if you have Stadia and you're investing in all this, in all their games, and if you're trying to play, a few years from now and they can't decide to cancel the service, you might lose access to all those games. If you're to get Cyberpunk 2077 now through the Google Store, they're going to give you the Stadia Premier Edition for free with your purchase. And that's like $100 value, which is a pretty good deal. So my final thoughts on Google Stadia. For me, there is a limited library of video games out there, as well as the paid membership. The pro games that are included aren't that great, and at $9.99 a month to stream 4K quality, which will probably eat up a lot of data, I'm not too thrilled about that. Now, obviously, it's probably better than buying yourself or building yourself a gaming PC or trying to find that next gen console, but I think at this point, because there's a limited library and there are data caps for internet service providers, that I don't think Google Stadia is quite there. So that's it. That's my 2 cents about Google Stadia. I hope you found this helpful. Definitely check out the library to see if this is something you're interested in. And again, they have that promotion for Cyberpunk 2077, which is a pretty good deal.
So that's my review of the Google Stadia. Let me know what else you guys want to see, and as always, thank you for watching.